Hi, I'm Sophie and welcome to my world. Well, I get a lot of requests for things, and one of the things that a viewer requested was a sock doll. Well, it happens to be the holidays, and so that got me thinking. I want to make a sock doll, but I also want to tie it into the holidays, which brought me to this idea of making an elf on a shelf. Now, I don't know if you know the story of the elf on the shelf, but I will tell you it as I begin working on my little sock doll. So she is completely and entirely made out of socks, and she's a little elf that can sit on a shelf. And the reason she can is because she has little beans in her bottom that make her sit upright. And I'm going to show you how you make her right now. Now, to make your elf on a shelf, you are going to need some stuff. You're going to need some socks. Now, how many of you guys have socks that, have lost their match, lost their mate? You've got one little lone sock. Well, this is the perfect craft for that. So for it, you're going to need some socks. You're going to need a little felt. Doesn't matter what color. I used red because that seemed very elfin to me. You're going to need some googly eyes or buttons or markers that you can draw on your little eyes. You're going to need some fiberfill or foam that you can use to fill your sock doll. You're going to need some yarn. This is going to be for the hair. It can be yarn, it can be string, whatever you have. It could even be strips of sock fabric. You're going to need some beans, and this is to give her that good bottom that's going to let her sit on the shelf so she can become a shelf elf. And I've got some puff balls here. I like puff balls, and they make great hands, and they make great tops of hats and stuff like that. And I have these teeny tiny little itty bitty puff balls, which I'm going to use for the nose. However, you don't need to have those if you don't want to. You can use buttons or any other thing that you might happen to have on hand. That's about it, other than a glue gun, which is going to be very, very important, and some rubber bands, which are also going to be very important. And if you want to, if you've got it on hand, a little blush to give her some cheeks. And you'll also want to have a little Q-tip for that. Okay, so to begin, I'm just going to use one of these. I just realized you also need scissors. Hang on one second. Scissors. Sorry about that. Okay, so I'm going to take my sock here and I'm going to cut it right before I get to the heel. Right there. And I don't really need the extra part, although I could make another sock doll out of this one if I wanted to. So I'm going to open up my sock, and I'm going to measure in about 4 ounces, about half a cup of beans or rice or even sand. Now, an easy way to do this is just to take your sock, put it over the cup, and just dump it upside down like that. Okay, so you can see, boop, it sits nice and solid. That's its bum. Okay, now I'm going to take some fiberfill. Now, I love my things to be chubby, but some people like things to be skinny. So however much fiberfill you want to put in here to make your body, just consider this to be your body. So there's your bottom, and that's going to be your body. You can make that as fat as you want. Now, once you've got it as fat as you want, you're going to take a rubber band, and you're just going to rubber band the top of this. You want to make sure that this is nice and tight because this is going to be the neck. So it's very important that you have your little necky. Okay, so there she's got her neck. Okay, and now I'm going to fill this part with some more fiberfill. And again, it's up to you what size head you make. You might want to make a fat face. You might want to make a skinny face. It's up to you. And it all depends on how much fiberfill you put in there. So all in all, it's not a lot of stuffing that you need. Okay, I'm going to add a little teeny bit more. Probably about, I would say, 2 cups worth max, which isn't a lot. Not even, I would say like not even a half an ounce. Okay, so now I'm going to pull that shut. Okay, so I'm going to pull that shut there, you see? And I'm going to use my rubber band. And I'm going to rubber band this again. Now, I'm not going to go tight on my rubber band yet. I'm going to kind of push it on the top here, and I'm going to show you why. Because I'm going to make some hair, and I'm going to stick it underneath there, and that's going to keep it in place. Now, to make the hair, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my yarn, and I've given her rather shortish hair, but you could make long hair if you wanted to. It all depends on how you wrap your yarn. If you want super long hair, you might want to wrap it around your arm like that. If you want to make medium length hair, like I've done here, you're just going to wrap it around your hand. It's going to be a little easier for me to do on camera, so that's what I'm going to actually do. I take my hand, open it up, with my thumb, trap that piece of yarn, and I'm just going to wrap around my hand. You just keep wrapping and wrapping and wrapping. So while I'm wrapping, I'll tell you the story of the shelf elf. So the story of the shelf elf is that there was a little elf, and he and all of his friends had a job, and they would literally, on the day after Thanksgiving, go to each household, and they would sit on the shelf or somewhere in the house, and they would take notes on what was going on with the children in the family. And then every night, and this is every night, they would report back to Santa. Now you see, I'm just going to keep wrapping here, on how good that child was being between the days of Thanksgiving and Christmas. Well, what that meant is that in the morning when the kids would come down, the elf would be on a different shelf or a different place. And the elf would move from day to day to day because he had gone to see Santa the night before. Well, part of the fun was for the kids to find the little elf each day, but they weren't allowed to touch the elf, because if they touched the elf, then all the magic and all the information that that little elf had gathered during that day would not get taken back to Santa. And you needed to have that information go to Santa, or Santa wouldn't know what to bring you for Christmas. Okay, so now I have wrapped a good amount of yarn here. And I'm going to snip it here. And I open it up, so I've got like a little O here. I'm going to take another piece of string, and I'm just going to slide it through that hole there. See that? And now I'm going to tie this really good. I'm just going to give it a real good tie, like that. Just a really, really good tie. So it's nice and tight. And I tied that twice, you know, like you would do like a knot. Okay, and now I'm just going to snip it right at the bottom. And now I've got this beautiful, well, it's red, so it's like kind of like a Raggedy Ann top here. Okay, now remember I said we weren't going to get too tight on that rubber band? Well, the reason why is I'm going to twist this one more time here. Okay, there we go. I'm going to fold down this little piece of extra sock there. I'm going to slip my hair through the hole here in the rubber band. And see, now that's going to keep it right on top of the head there like that. And then I can spread the hair out. What's nice now is that I don't have to glue that hair. I mean, you can if you want to glue the hair, that's fine. But the problem with that is sometimes with the hot glue, you can end up burning yourself. So now I'm going to get rid of some of this extra because I don't need it all. Just give it a little trim. But it was nice to keep it there because it made it easier for me to find my rubber band there. But now that I don't need it anymore because I got my hair in place, there we go. All right, she has her wig head. And now we can make her little outfit and her little body. So first thing I need to do is make some legs and some arms. I'm just going to take some felt here, and I'm going to cut about 6 inches here, and I'm going to put her face down here, and on the back here, just put a little bloop of glue here, bloop, and a bloop of glue here. Doesn't have to be much, just a little bloop, and that's going to be one arm, and that's going to be the other arm. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing for her legs, but I'm going to make her legs really long. See that? So I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to make her legs, sit there. I'm going to make her legs really long, so I'm going to cut 2 strips that are like 12 inches long. And once again, I'm just going to glue these to her little bottom. One bloop there, one bloop there. Now be very careful when you're using the hot glue and your fingers. You should always do adult supervision on this because nobody wants to get burned with a glue gun. Okay, so there she is. She's hanging out. She needs some shoes, I think. So I'm going to give her some nice big puff balls to be her shoes. I've got 2 red puff balls here. And I'm just going to glue one here. Bloot, bloot. 1 foot, 2 foot. Now remember, you can get as fabulous and wonderful with your decorations as you want to on this. I'm going to go simple because I want you to have the time to go off and make your very own. But I'm going to give her little puffball hands. There's 1. And 2. And you can always trim the ends here so that you don't see those as much, so that they disappear. There we go. Okay, now she needs some clothes because right now she's nude. Okay, we don't want her to be nude, not sitting on your shelf. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use another sock for this. And I'm actually going to just cut a little collar right here by making a little notch in the toe. And I do have to make a place for her arms, so I'm just going to make a little notch here. It doesn't have to be very much. Notch there, and a notch here. There we go. And this is going to be a little tight for her bottom. See how it goes like that? So I'm actually just going to cut this bottom part off. And then I'm going to dress her like you normally would dress a person. This goes over the head. Doo-doo-doo. Arm, please. 1 arm. Doo-doo-doo. And another arm. Doo-doo-doo. There we go. Fluff her hair. Now she does have to go to the North Pole, which can be very chilly, so I think I better give her a hat. And the thing I love about socks is they make fabulous hats. Easy, fabulous hats. Okay, there she is. She's got a little outfit on. And her little legs are sticking out. There we go. And now she needs her hat. So for her hat, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take another little sock and I'm just going to cut it right in the middle here. And I'm going to add a puff ball at the bottom where the toe hole is. Oh, I'm going to give her a sparkly one. These are really fun. These are sparkly pom-poms. You can usually find these at the arts and crafts store. And just going to put her hat on. There we go. She's got her hat. Okay, now one thing that's missing is a face. So I'm going to give her 2 little eyes with just a bloop of glue. Now remember, again, you can use buttons here. You could sew them on if you wanted to instead of using hot glue. That's fine. But there's her little eyes. I'm very part and partial to making faces simple. So I'm just going to give her a little nose. And even though I know she has to talk to Santa, I'm not going to give her a mouth because I want her to have it. I just like it when they don't have mouths. I don't know. For some reason, I think those look really cute. And I'm going to give her some rosy cheeks, though, because she does go up to the North Pole. So I'm just going to take a little bit of this blush, and I'm going to put it on my Q-tip and just give her little cheekies. 1 on either side. And now if you want to, you can use this little bit of blush to go boop, boop, boop. Give her a little mouth, too. That way she can talk to Santa. And there you have it. There is your elf. Whoop, let's cut her hand. There we go. There's your little elf on a shelf. And now these 2 guys can talk to each other. Oh, you know, I've been visiting Johnny, and he has been a very good boy. Oh, I'm with Susie, and she's terrible. You'll never guess what she was doing to the cat. For more elfin entertainment, come and check us out at Sophie-World.com. And the dog. Don't even get me started about the dog.